I think I found the solution to all of my problems. I just found out that 5 gigabit fiber internet is available at my house. That is 2 million times faster than my first internet connection. If all goes to plan, I'll be able to download a 10 gigabyte file in just 16 seconds. 30 years ago, that would be 386 straight days of downloading before you could get that file done. And only if your mom didn't pick up the phone in the other room and break your connection and kick you offline. But it is not so simple as just calling up AT&T and 5 gigabit speeds magically appear. My network needs a full upgrade. It has to be 10 gigabit speeds to be able to use 5 gigabits of internet. And then just because my network is 10 gig and my internet is 5 gig doesn't mean my devices can actually go that speed. I've got an iPhone 16, which can only really get 2 gigabit speeds. The newer iPhones are faster. And then, eventually all the products will be upgraded throughout the years. I'm just future-proofing. I'm getting ready for that day. There's no way I'll be tearing out all this good stuff in 3 years just to upgrade everything again. Not possible. And we all know when it comes to fantasizing about the latest and greatest, the prettiest girl at the dance, there's only one name that pops into your head. It's not TP-Link, it's not Netgear, it's not Alphabet, Google, Nest, Wi-Fi Pro, it's Ubiquiti. Or is it Unify? It's Unify. Unify's the product, Ubiquiti's the company. I guess there's more than one name. So I really want my house to be nice, and I'm hoping with every single video on this channel, I make my house just a little bit more nice and maybe inspire you to take on a project like this. My current network setup is not nice. I've got 1 gigabit fiber from AT&T hooked in to a Google Nest Wi-Fi Pro setup. It's a mesh network, but I have everything hardwired in. I've got 3 different access points, but I still lose coverage. My wife has video calls for work all the time. They drop out intermittently. Not fun. It's not all the time, but when it does happen, you go into the Google Home app and it doesn't give you any information about what's actually happening. And that's why an upgrade to the Unify system is gonna give me all kinds of insights down to the device level. What's performing, what's not, how can I fix it? And man, I have been fantasizing about getting a Unify setup for years and years. But even I, as a gold medalist in mental gymnastics, could not justify the cost. And the size of the stuff was crazy. You needed a full-on server rack to get going, which makes sense because this was all built for businesses and people at home fell in love with it and started using it for their house. But over the past couple years, we've seen the hardware and the prices shrink down. Now, the common man, working folk like me and you, can actually take on these systems. And yes, it's still expensive. I toiled for so long whether I was gonna go full 10 gigabit on almost everything in my setup so I could get those 5 gigabit speeds, or if I should just lay low at 2.5 gigabit, it's perfectly fine. I decided I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna buy once, cry once, get my 10 gig speeds going. And I would say my home network complexity is probably around a medium level. I've got Home Assistant, I've got Plex, I've got media, I've got a network attached storage, I've got other extracurricular activities going on, a lot of smart home stuff. So, this totally justifies the cost and all the time. It's gonna just save me tons of time. So this was my starting point, which was an awful mess. I was able to clean up all the cables in my last video, if you haven't seen that. And then I had AT&T come out and upgrade my service. They took away the old ONT and old router and replaced it with an all-in-one router. The swap to the new equipment was painless, but the new bill, the 5 gigabit fiber, is $255 a month. So maybe in a few months, realistically, I bump back down to the 2.5 gigabit fiber because $155 a month is the 2.5 gigabit. It's a little bit easier to swallow. But I just gotta live that fantasy here for a few months. And guess what happened the day after I got the new fiber upgraded? Everything went out. I was playing Fortnite with my brother, boom, like a light switch. AT&T tech came out the next day. He went to the local fiber distribution hub and he said, oh yeah, somebody unplugged your service. So he plugged it back in and we have been good ever since. So I've got the 5 gigabit fiber coming in to my home, but my home network is still limited to 1 gigabit. It's on the slow speed still. I gotta tear it all out. I gotta rebuild it. But first, I think it's good to do some speed tests all around the house to see the baseline right now and to see if we can beat it. And I might actually lose a little speed in certain places in the house as long as I get way better speeds in the important areas of the house. Garage doesn't matter so much, but my wife's office, #1 priority. So my first piece of the puzzle to actually get those 10 gigabit network speeds is the Cloud Gateway Fiber. I've got my AT&T router in bypass mode, so all of that good internet is coming into the Cloud Gateway Fiber where it will be managed by UniFi. And I quickly learned my first lesson. I thought I could actually use direct attach copper from the AT&T router into the Cloud Gateway. Alas, you cannot do that. This SFP port is input only. And yes, I know there is a way to actually bypass the AT&T router completely and attach fiber into the Cloud Gateway, but man, I'm not ready to take on that project right now. Let's get through everything else. So then I just used the included Cat6 spaghetti noodle to attach the AT&T router to the Cloud Gateway Fiber. Took a few minutes for everything to boot up, to get updated, and then it was time to do that first speed test. 2 gigabits per second, what's going on? Of course, the Cloud Gateway Fiber only has 2.5 gigabit ports. That's why I bought the 10 gigabit switch to go along with this install. And I've got the Switch Pro XG8 PoE that's actually gonna be the 10 gigabit backbone for the rest of the network. And I was able to use the SFP ports with the direct attach copper. Got that booted up, got it upgraded. Now it's time to think about where I actually want my access points, where the Wi-Fi in the ceiling is gonna be. So another little bonehead mistake here. I only bought 2 access points for my house, one for the main house, one for the shed in the backyard. Because hey, these access points should cover 1,500 square feet. I have a 1,200 square foot house. But it's never that simple because the higher speeds, Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 7, have a harder time penetrating through walls, so you need more access points. And just to verify that I'm actually on the right track, I rigged up some temporary wiring. I went into the attic and I placed the access points in the area that I want them to be, except for they won't be in the attic, they'll actually be in the living space. I've had that going for about a day now and everything is able to connect. I've got pretty good speeds and the speeds are gonna get even better when I actually properly wire everything up. So let's do that now, get the access points mounted up properly, put some holes in the drywall. So I've got my magnetic stud finder here and this just finds the drywall screws that they used when they put on this addition 50 years ago. Okay, there we go. We locked onto one here. Should be running this way. Yep. So that means we should have at least 16 inches of free and clear space right here. So if I go over here, yep, boom, nailed it. So this general area should be good to go. And now I've got this little template for my access point and I'll do a little double-sided tape here. Okay, now it's time to make a mess. So I know for sure there's no water pipes on the other side of this drywall. I have access to this attic, but I'd rather just hit a little exploratory poke and then be able to send through one of these really cool glow rods. So this glow rod is gonna allow me to poke through the hole that I just created and send this up into the attic, and I should be able to see a big glow-in-the-dark piece of plastic lighting the way. Okay, I think I see way out there is where the insulation is pushed up. That's gotta be where it is. Nope, I was totally wrong. Look, it's over there. It's so hard to understand the floor plan when you're under a roof like this. It's hard to see that this is the dining room and this is the bedroom. I spent a lot of time up in this attic making it nice with lights and cleaning out all the old insulation, but still has fiberglass insulation and I should be wearing a mask. Looks like a perfect spot. Nailed it.
All right, I got my 3/4 of an inch hole. Boom. Probably a little too big. That's fine.
And I definitely need to remember to do a little bit of spray foam, seal that hole up so we don't have the nastiness of the attic getting into the house. And I got my popcorn bowl to catch all the dust. Gonna hammer in all the anchors. If you put a regular screw into drywall, it might kind of sort of work, but eventually it'll probably tear out. So that's why we have these anchors. They expand when the screw goes in. Oh, there goes the anchor through the thing, of course. Well, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. Don't push hard. Oh yeah, there's a specific dot that I'm supposed to look for. Ooh, yeah. I got the access point in my wife's office installed the same way, no hiccups. And since I used up both of the access points I had in the house, I had to order another one for the backyard shed. And for some reason, I forgot that I needed a switch in the shed as well, so I ordered the Flex 2.5 PoE, only 200 bucks. I'm not gonna do another $500 10 gig switch for the shed. We're gonna slum it perfectly at 2.5 gigabits, no problem. But you know what is a problem for this project? My cable management. So bad. I've got a lot of organization and beautification to do. It ain't gonna happen in this video, but I am planning on doing a whole separate video for that, so stay tuned. So now that the access points are up and running in the house, I'm on my phone, I'm inside the Wi-Fi Man app from UniFi. This app is just fantastic for diagnosing problems, walking around the house, actually seeing what's going on with the Wi-Fi. Way better than the Google Nest Wi-Fi Pro where you just didn't have any information at all. So the best case scenario that I have seen so far, iPhone 16 Pro Max, a couple feet away from the access point, connected to Wi-Fi 7 on the 6 gigahertz band. I've been able to get 1.5 gigabits throughput. And of course that starts to fluctuate as you walk around the house, but I'm very happy with every little nook and cranny. The garage is not doing great. It's kind of a lost cause, but everything else in the house, fantastic. I will show you the before and after speed tests here in a minute. So one little problem I was able to solve with the help of a little AI chatbot was walking through the house, roaming from access point to access point. Almost every time it would roam to the 5 gigahertz band of Wi-Fi 7. This whole project, I'm shooting for the fastest possible speeds, which means Wi-Fi 7 on the 6 gigahertz band. The faster the Wi-Fi, the harder it is to penetrate through objects, through walls, so you end up getting locked into the slower speeds. But all I had to do was go into the options for each access point and go into the radios. So the 6 gigahertz band, that radio I turned up to high power, 5 gigahertz I put on medium power, and then the 2.4 gigahertz band I put on low power. That actually seemed to fix all that. And in real time, not YouTube time, it's actually been a couple months now, and I am seeing great speeds, great stability. It is mission accomplished inside the house. But unfortunately, things here in the backyard are not doing great. I've got a U7 Pro XG access point in the shed. It works great in the shed, but once you get over here, about 10 feet away, nothing doing. I know I could turn off the 6 gigahertz radio and things probably would work out here, but that's not the point of this project. This project is about the top tier, fastest possible Wi-Fi speeds that are available at the moment. So we got to figure out something else, especially since my wife likes to work out here quite a bit. If it's nice out, the sun is shining, she'll sit up here with her laptop and work away. So this spot needs to be just as fast as her office. So I guess it's time to spend some more money. I've come this far, what's another $400? I just need another access point, man. That's all I need, just to get me through it. And guess what? Getting blazing fast Wi-Fi to the backyard turned into a whole separate project of its own. So I've got a whole different video that I'm gonna put out after this one. But the Cliff Notes version, I took the access point out of the shed, put it in the garage. Then I put a U7 Pro wall, the one room Wi-Fi access point inside the shed. Then I got this U7 Pro outdoor to cover the entire backyard, and we are doing really good now. And after I finished that video, a sudden thought popped into my head. The entire shed has this peel and stick metal radiant barrier on it. And maybe that is actually playing a part in blocking the 6 gigahertz Wi-Fi signal from getting outside the shed. And then I also thought about the vinyl siding on the outside of my house. My house is so old it doesn't have interior insulation, but it does have exterior insulation that was installed with this vinyl siding. And that exterior insulation also has a foil barrier on it. And I only know that because there's this one hole in the garage right here that spies into the backside of that insulation. So I think my tinfoil wrapped house and my tinfoil wrapped shed are part of the problem why my Wi-Fi wasn't really able to get outside. All right, I'm $2,500 and a ton of work into this project. Let's finally look at the speed tests and see what we got. So let's start out in the backyard, and I hope to shout the speeds are good. I'm standing right next to the access point, and yes, they were some of the fastest speeds in the entire test. And now we're in the garage where this access point actually ended up being pointless. It would not reach outside the garage. The whole point was to maybe get some coverage in the front yard. That did not happen. So I ended up actually disabling the garage access point. But you know what? I am not disappointed in the speeds that are in the garage at all. The Wi-Fi in the shed before the overhaul was doing really good, twice as fast as anything else in the rest of the house. And now we are cruising along with a really nice download speed and the fastest upload speed I saw at 960 megabits. The upload speeds were all over the place. The previous Wi-Fi system had an unobstructed view into the living room, and we had some pretty good speeds there. Now the access points are a little bit further away or behind some walls, and we are still getting super duper speed. And now that the access point is disabled in the garage, I am having a terrible time getting Wi-Fi out to the front yard. Every once in a while it works for a minute and then it kicks off. The middle bedroom is our least used room in the house. It ended up being the worst performer in the entire test, but still not bad if you're sleeping over. Downloads in the master bedroom are now 5 times faster. Can't complain about that. And finally, the whole point of this Wi-Fi overhaul project, we've got 10 times upload speeds, 5 times download speeds, and a rock solid connection that never drops. So I know that download and upload speeds are not the only factor that go into a quality Wi-Fi experience. You got latency, you got jitter, you got the signal strength, but speed is kind of the best proxy to do that before and after test and to actually see that things are working good. I don't know if having more numbers on the screen would have really gotten any other point across. I have had this system up and running, real world test usage every single day for a few months now, and we haven't had any major hiccups except for one. I was getting some really bad performance with my favorite game, Fortnite. I was having really high ping, I was losing a bunch of packets, and I'm hardwired in to the Xbox, so I'm not using Wi-Fi for my gaming. I pulled everything out of the shed, I moved it to the garage, and the performance issues disappeared. So it was obviously some kind of cable problem. I moved everything back in, unplugged everything, plugged everything back in, and it was fine. I haven't had the problem since. Never doubt the power of unplug it and plug it back in. I kept my network name and password exactly the same, so when everything came back online, all the devices got connected quite easily. And then the first thing that I did, I went into the UniFi console and I renamed every single device to a easy and readable name. Some of the stuff was okay, some of it was complete gobbledygook, and some of it I'm still trying to figure out what this device is and what purpose it serves. It's pretty easy to block a device and then you'll see if something happens because somebody starts screaming. And I really love the little icon that goes along with the device that usually is auto-detected. Sometimes you can go in there and change it, and then probably about 20% of the time they don't have an icon and you can't upload your own. So now things are gonna get a little more complex because I've got a bunch of self-hosted software solutions running on a few different computers doing a bunch of random stuff that's very important. And one of the best examples of this is called Home Assistant. It's supercharged home automation software, control lights and switches and energy. If you can program it, it can be controlled with Home Assistant. And it runs on its own little Raspberry Pi computer. So if I want to load up the web page for Home Assistant and control my house, I actually have to find out what is the IP address of the Raspberry Pi, note that down, type it in, and you're good to go. Until the Raspberry Pi reboots because of an update or if it loses power. Every time a device connects to your network, it gets its own little IP address, and 99% of the time, that IP address will be different than the one it had before. So the solution for this is to go into the UniFi console and set a fixed IP address for any of these computers that might be serving up a web page or computers that you want to get to over and over. Anytime you're typing in that IP address manually, you want it to get fixed and locked in. I've got fixed IPs for my laptop, my network attached storage, my Mac Mini, and of course my little Raspberry Pi with Home Assistant. So now it's very easy to load up Home Assistant when you're on your home network. But what happens when you leave your home network? All those IP addresses are not the same. For many, many years, I would use something called port forwarding. You would have to get the IP address of your house, put that in, and then you put colon and a port, and that port would forward down to the little Raspberry Pi or your Mac Mini, and you'd be able to tunnel in and get to your software that's in your house. But port forwarding has fallen out of favor. It's not as secure as some of the newer VPN tunneling solutions. One of those solutions is built into UniFi and it's called Teleport. I gave this an honest try and I was not able to actually get it to work. Instead, I went with Tailscale, which has been a magical thing. It's free for up to 3 users and 100 devices. You install an app on your phone, your laptop, your Mac Mini, anything you want to be able to reach from the outside world. I have it turned on my phone all the time, so it's running a little VPN, and I have not even noticed a degradation in battery life whatsoever. So now it's super easy for me to get to every single little bit of my home network from anywhere in the world. And even though my little Raspberry Pi doesn't have Tailscale installed on it, you can still get to it through a subnet. It kind of routes the network through and you can still find it. So some final thoughts, some lessons learned. Was it really worth it? And you know what? I don't know. I like having a project. I like tinkering and messing with all this stuff. I'm sure you do too. But really, truly, 5 gigabit speeds, I have not even been able to max out my connection. I'm not much of a guy that torrents things, but I do dabble in Usenet, and that should be able to saturate to max out my connection, and I was not able to get true 5 gigabit speeds on anything other than a speed test on fast.com. The promise did not deliver. So I just went in, I switched my AT&T speeds from 5 gigabit to 2 gigabit. So at least I can have 1 gigabit plus real world speeds to my phone, to my laptops, and that's pretty good. So I got a bright shiny toy that I could play with for a couple months, a new project. That was fulfilling. On the other side of this, hopefully I have rock solid Wi-Fi, future-proof as much as I can imagine. It's just hard to, I'd never say never, but it's hard to imagine that we're gonna need 5 gigabit speeds, 10 gigabit speeds, but who knows? And one big thing I didn't even touch on is the UniFi Protect system. It's their cameras. It's a fantastic system, has AI detection with no monthly fee. I would love to tear out all my hodgepodge of different cameras and get a full UniFi camera system up and running at my house. I hate to say it, but my camera setup is so janky. God forbid something actually happened at my house. I don't know, it'd be like a coin flip that we'd actually be able to get any footage that was decent. So even though I went crazy with all the top of the line stuff, if my mom and dad asked me to help build out a brand new Wi-Fi system, if theirs was outdated, something went wrong, I would still go with UniFi because it still has the great software where I can look inside, see what's going on, get some really nice cameras set up. You don't have to go super duper top of the line. They actually do have other stuff that is a little more affordable and not the top speed Wi-Fi 7, 6 gigahertz stuff that caused so many headaches here. This was quite the journey. I am glad to have this checked off the list of things to do to make my house nice. Next up, you'll see the backyard Wi-Fi video, and then I've got to get to work on beautifying all the cabling and all this system. Hopefully find a little server rack closet instead of having everything in the garage like a mess. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.